this is Tim with smallscalerc.com, and I'm really excited because today we have a new truck to talk about. It's Redcat's Ascent-32. Now, if you're not familiar with the Ascent line from Redcat, it started as a 10 scale, then they introduced the Ascent 18 scale rig, and now we have a 32nd scale rig in the Ascent-32. And Redcat completely is just worse. They're just skipping 24th scale and going right to 32nd. 32nd scale is quite small. As you'll see in just a moment, we'll pull this truck out of the box. But before we do that, we're going to give it a quick spin and see some of the features that we get with this vehicle. It does include a battery and charger. It's a 1S LiPo battery versus a 2S LiPo that you might be more familiar with vehicles like the SCX-24 or even the Ascent 30, or I'm sorry, or even the Ascent 18. Those both have 2-cell LiPo packs powering them, where this is just 1S or 1 cell. We'll take a closer look at that once we start to examine this truck up close. It does use the same clipless body mounting hook and release method for mounting the body. So it's very easy to get into the interior or into the chassis area of this truck. Very handy, nice to have. It has a metal frame, plastic links, plastic axles. It is straight axle, as you see from this diagram back here. Just gives you a look at the top, side, rear, and front. And again, they try to give you an idea of how the 32nd scale size-wise stacks up to the 18th and 10th scale versions of the Ascent. And let's take a look. What colors do we have here? You can pick between graphite, silver, red, blue, and pink. I chose the red. If you've watched any of my other videos on the original Ascent 18, you know that I picked the candy apple red paint scheme for that, or paint job for that rig. I just love that color. So anytime I have an opportunity to get that color on a truck, I'm going to go for it. And saw it here, couldn't pass it up. Okay, that's enough box art talk. Why don't we get this open and see what's inside? Now that everything's out of the box, this is what you get with the Ascent-32. Obviously, you get the Ascent-32 truck. You get a 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. It's a little bit on the smaller side when you look at some of the other controllers that are available with other small scale vehicles, but that should still feel good in the hand. You get a little baggie full of stuff. It's going to have some body posts in there. I have a couple extra pieces in there actually from the original body that came with this truck. It was in less than great condition when it arrived. So shout out to the folks at Redcat Support for hooking me up with a brand new body for this rig. Really appreciate that. Super easy to get that swapped out. So I do appreciate that. So I have a couple extra bits from that original body in there. But this just includes some different mounting, I would say hardware, but it's not really screws or anything like that. Just mounting brackets and things like that if you wanted to put a different body on this truck. And of course, we have our instruction manual right there. But the real star of the show is the Ascent-32, and let's get that closer into view here and really take a look at this truck. As I said, 32nd scale. When you get into the scale numbers of RC vehicles, you're going to find that they really don't mean that much, especially vehicle to vehicle. For example, like the UTV Capra 18 is 18th scale. It is much larger than any other 18th scale vehicle I have in my collection. So just take that with a grain of salt. I think you may find that this 32nd scale vehicle is actually larger than some 30th scale vehicles that are on the market today. But again, whatever. It's still a really nice looking vehicle. Redcat, I think, did a good job of scaling down the 18th scale Ascent into this package. Again, you have a lightweight polycarbonate body sitting on top. You have 4 no foam insert tires, and I don't believe these wheels are vented either. I pulled a wheel off, or tire off earlier and took a look, and there's no venting there, so I think we might be able to vent those at some point. Underneath, Four link plastic link suspension, and we have four links up on top for the chassis linkage as well. The shocks are not oil filled, so you're going to get a little bit of quick rebound on there. You're not going to get any slow movement from those. So if you're looking for something more um, larger scale, I guess, in how they perform, you may want to look at an oil-filled shock. And as it so happens, at the same time this was released, Endura released an array of upgrades for this model, including drive shafts, chassis and suspension linkage, steering linkage, oil-filled shocks, skid plate. I'm going off of memory here. Brass diff covers, that might be it, but I feel like I'm missing something. So there are upgrade opportunities and options out there right out of the gate for this truck if you don't want to leave it stock. Um, I've been driving this truck for a little bit. So of course, at some point I'm going to make some adjustments to it. Probably will be weight related. And I might do something with the shocks, but up until now, I don't see the shock performance as being a big negative or causing too much trouble in terms of the performance, overall performance of this truck. Jumping to an overhead shot, let's take a look at the chassis. Everything on this truck is smaller than other vehicles I'm used to, so even the little latch to get the body off, so it takes a little bit. Um, nice job by Redcat to assemble and just kind of organize this chassis layout and the electronics layout. Everything I believe is I feel that everything is laid out very well. You have a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver sitting right here. You have a up front-ish mounted motor, decent sized motor too. Has plenty of wheel speed for sure, and plenty of power. So you're not going to be lacking in that area. And then way up front, we have our battery, which is mounted up there. And I mentioned before that's a 1S LiPo battery. Here's our one single cable or cord that's coming from that battery. And you'll see that there's no balance charger because there is no second cell to have to balance charge. So you do, and I forgot to mention or show this off earlier, you do get a battery charger with this truck, and this just plugs directly into that battery plug and you charge it up and away you go. So that's really nice. Metal chassis rails here, a couple different options for mounting the shocks in different configurations if you so want to. If you really want to turn this into a performance small scale crawler. A little wobble and bobble from those shocks, but again, that's just me putzing around with it right now on the table. When you're actually driving this truck, you're not going to see that much movement from it, which is really nice. So that's pretty much it. I mean, this is a very small vehicle. There's not a lot to talk about in terms of features. Like what you see here is what you get. It's very small, very compact, but it is a lot of fun to drive. Speaking of which, let's get this powered on. I have some 3D printed terrain that we're going to drive this on. I see this as being more of an indoor crawler versus an outdoor crawler. So for that, I'm just going to stick to some indoor stuff for right now. We may take it outside at some point, but really, if you're looking for a vehicle to get just kind of bust some boredom in the winter months, this might be a really good option for you. All right, so this is some really cool 3D printable interlocking terrain that I found on Maker World. If you have a Bamboo Lab printer, you can easily just find these files and download them. And I will put links to both of these items in the description of this video. This one, you can print two of these, and there are logs you can print that run across. We'll run this across those logs in just a moment. But I want to start it off with this type of ascent. No pun intended. This type of an ascent, and we'll go into this more jagged rock structure in just a bit with this truck, just to see how it handles. So we do have everything powered on. Give it some throttle. Now, right off the bat, I am. Let's just hold this up and show you for a second. So, plenty of wheel speed, but and if I have a gripe about this truck right off the bat, it's going to be maybe two things: that servo looks a little bit on the weak side. It's going to be the torque, because I am really having to give this a big squeeze on the throttle to get it to move when there's something in its way. So I don't have that low power, low throttle input finesse that I would really love to have on this truck, especially when you have some of these obstacles like this where you really, like, I would just like to give it just a blip of throttle input. And there we see that servo is not doing much right now to wiggle out of that. But yeah, gear this thing down, Redcat, please. Or hopefully somebody comes out with some lower gear options for this truck to really just give it more torque. I would say you could throw a brushless motor in this, and I know Tech has just released an option for this truck. But when you look at the cost of that motor, it's $100. And if you look at the cost of this truck, which I have not talked about yet, it is $80. So you're going to be spending more on that motor solution than you are just to get this truck. And I don't know that that's worth it. Performance wise, definitely, but cost wise, I don't know. So enough of me kind of rambling on and on. These are just my immediate observations with this truck. I'm having to give it, I think, more throttle than I would like to. I would like this to be more finesse driven, and I feel like I'm really having to ram my way through a lot of these. The steering link is killing me too. That big steering link is just catching on a lot of this stuff. Now, I will be 100% transparent here. I just printed these maybe a month ago and really haven't run anything on them yet. And this is not my typical type of terrain. As you've seen my videos before, I have a little outdoor crawler course set up, and it's mainly logs and things like that. So this is a little bit different. But I'm not planning on running this outdoors. Like I said, I think this is more of an indoor crawler. And if I'm going to run it indoors, I'm going to run it on things like I've done here and printed here. Come on. Let's see. Not bad. Not bad. Once I get past the gripiness that I'm and grumpiness that I have right now with how it's geared, it is a fun little truck to drive. I can see this is a easy boredom buster. Like, no problem. If I'm working on something at home and I need a break and I don't want to necessarily, wrench on something or do something else, I can see busting this little truck out and having a good time, because it is fun. And I think it can only get better with a few minor tweaks. Again, lower gearing. If we can do something to, I don't know what can be done with that steering link, to be honest with you, but if something could be done there to help prevent hangups, and then possibly venting those tires to give us a little more grip, um, is a free option. I'm sure some aftermarket brand will come up with, come on, will come up with a aftermarket tire. There we go. Cool. But what I'm not seeing, thankfully, from this truck is, like, I'm not sitting like this with the throttle pinned. Okay. I can drive out of this. So it's got plenty of motor and it has plenty of power. It's just refining that a little bit, get us more, um, come on, to give us more of an 18th or 24th scale performance feel. Come on, what are you caught on? Oh, there's that steering link. I think I high centered. I think that's the right term. I got her stuck, put it mildly. But nice amount of articulation on these shocks. Yeah, steering link. Nice movement over there. Those spring or friction shocks aren't bothering me driving this, so I may just keep those as is for right now. For as light as this truck is, it's really not having any issue grabbing onto stuff or driving through obstacles. So that's pretty cool. Let's give the log bridge a shot here. This is always a hoot because I can never seem to get over this cleanly. So these spin quite well and geez, these spin quite freely, as you can see. So good luck to me getting over that. And those are more, I think they're designed more for a 24th scale, but this truck just fits on them. Now, if I can get it lined up correctly, I might actually, oh my gosh. Hey, we're going to do it. All right. First time successfully on camera. You saw it here. Love it. Now, can I do a repeat? Hello. Nope. Yeah, little more torque, little less top end, but makes it look easy. Fun little truck for sure. Quick size comparison between the Ascent-32 and some other small scale vehicles. Here you have the FMS FCX 24M. I don't know if I can get both of them in the same frame together. Let's do a nose to nose, but decent amount of size difference between those two. And then when you bring in the Ascent 18, albeit my modified version, quite a bit more size difference between these two. Um, but really, I think the 32 is a fun little truck for sure. Just make a couple tweaks to it, and you're really going to have a fun time. But even out of the box, I think it's a fantastic little rig for indoor crawling. So there you have it, an overview and quick indoor run of the Ascent 32 by Redcat. Price on this is $79.99, so it just under $80, and I would say well-ish under $100. You have a fun little indoor crawler that I think would probably handle pretty well outdoors too in the right situations. As you heard from my indoor driving commentary, there are a few things I would like to see changed and will probably end up changing on this. But if Redcat is looking um, for feedback, slow down the gearing, more torque, less top end. I don't see this as being a trail vehicle. I don't see that we would really need that much top end speed. I would much rather have more torque, more low throttle input performance versus what this has out of the box. Um, that steering link is just out there, man. I don't know that you can do anything with that um, aside from possibly putting it toward the back. I don't know. Um, I'm not an engineer, so I have no good ideas for you there. But that I did feel that was hanging up on in a couple situations as I was driving it. Now, again, depending on your terrain, your mileage may vary. Um, So take that with a grain of salt. You could probably end up venting these tires too a little bit and see if you can get these tires to deflate a little bit more and have a little more grip, or possibly go with a softer compound on them. A little bit of weight might do you some good overall. However, I do feel that this truck weighs like the weight balance is very good. I didn't feel like I was teetering or in situations where I needed more front end weight or wished I had more front or rear end weight for that matter. So I think weight wise, really good. Overall, it's a fun little truck. Yeah, for $80, I'd pick up another one and drive this indoors. Um, and I will be doing more indoor driving with this. I said I'll get this outside and take it on my outdoor course, just to see how it handles there. So there's going to be more content coming around this little rig. I'm excited to see where Redcat goes with this. Are we going to get more body options? Are we going to get a V2 with some tweaks? That might be kind of cool. Um, If you are performance minded, though, I did mention that Furatech brushless system. You may want to check that out. However, the cost on that again is going to be over what you're going to pay for this truck out of the box or truck is a complete system anyway. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go keep tinkering with this truck and get my terrain set up again and keep driving it because this is truly just a fun little rig. If you're looking for more RC content, be sure to head to smallscalerc.com. There you'll find news, reviews, and other information on small scale RC models like this one and the Ascent-18 that I showed earlier and the FCX24M that I showed earlier and a lot more. So there's a lot of RC content, smallscalerc.com, focused on small scale RC models. If you like larger scale stuff or just 10th scale, 8th scale, 7th scale, 5th scale, doesn't matter, drones, planes, stuff like that, head to rcnoob.com. Boom, sign right there. For news, reviews, a podcast, videos, all that stuff over there as well. So until next time, this has been Tim with smallscalerc.com and rcnoob.com. We'll talk with you later.